What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Football Addicts Anonymous podcast. Just me today, but I got some stuff going on. Not the stuff that we've been waiting on, but XFL Week 6 wrapped up last night. Bunch of good games this weekend in the XFL. We got some XFL news, a trade in the NFL and XFL as well, and some free agency signings, as well as some news from the league meetings also. So let's get it started with XFL Week 6. And we started the week a doubleheader on Saturday. The Seattle Sea Dragons beating the Orlando Guardians. Guardians continue to be winless in Terrell Buckley's first campaign at the helm. Feel bad for Terrell Buckley. His team the last couple of weeks has done a lot of good stuff to try to get that first elusive win there, but they could not do it in this one. Quentin Dormady played very well, 24 of 44, not the great completion percentage, but 243 yards, 5 carries, 43 yards on the ground. And then Ben DiNucci was not his normal self, but still did enough to get the win. 18 of 35, 51.4%, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 6 carries for 43 yards. The Seattle offense was again another interception for DiNucci, though. The turnovers continue to be a problem, but not as much as Seattle has won 4 in a row. They're now tied with St. Louis at 4-2 in that second playoff spot in the North Division. So we'll see. We'll see if they can continue this trend here. Devin Darrington had a great game for Orlando. 7 carries, 82 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 fumble, though. 1 catch for 13 yards. Wasn't a lot of ground game for Seattle. 32 yards there. Darius Bradwell, the leading rusher outside of Ben DiNucci. The leading receiver in this one, Seattle wide receiver Blake Jackson. Ja'Cour Pearson really held in check. It was a good job by the Orlando defense to hold him down for most of the game there. But Blake Jackson there, 6 catches, 79 yards, 1 touchdown on 7 targets. The Cody Latimer continues to be a star for Orlando, even in losing efforts. 5 catches, 59 yards, and 7 targets for the tight end. And then I want to mention also Orlando wide receiver Charleston Rambo, double-digit targets there. 11 of them, caught 6 of those targets for 54 yards. Defensively, I'm going to go with Sea Dragons corner Zafir Kelly, 5 tackles, 3 solos, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. And how about kicker Dominic Eberle for the Sea Dragons? Perfect day, 4 of 4, 54-yard bomb there. Really nice day for Eberle there. Guardians, though, did cover +8 over 43. Next game on Saturday, the Battlehawks get back on track after losing to DC last week at 29-6 over the Vipers to get to 4-2. 3 quarterbacks played in this one. AJ McCarron was absolutely stellar. 23 of 29, 79.3%, 236 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 carries, 18 yards. Probably the best quarterback performance of the weekend. Vegas played both Louis Perez and Brett Hundley. Perez getting the start, 13 of 20, 65%, 99 yards. 2 picks, though. Really killed a couple drives there for Vegas. And then Hundley came in, played decent, 9 of 18, 50% completion, 120 yards, and a touchdown. St. Louis running back Brian Hill led the game in rushing, 13 carries, 62 yards, 4 catches for 29 yards. And while the ground game was not very good for Vegas and running back John Lovett, he did score in the passing game, 6 carries, 19 yards, 3 catches, 44 yards, and a touchdown on 7 targets. How about the game for Battlehawks wide receiver Darius Shepard, Hakeem Butler, their leading receiver? Shepard was the guy in this game, though. 7 catches, 79 yards, 2 touchdowns on 10 targets. Really nice day for him. St. Louis did a good job of holding Jeff Badette, the Vegas leading receiver, to 4 catches for 34 yards on 7 targets. And then defensively, got to go with the guy that has 5 sacks in 2 games. Just crazy production the last 2 weeks. Vipers linebacker Pita Taumapenu, 2 tackles, both of them solos, 2 sacks, 1 tackle for loss. St. Louis linebacker Carson Wells also has a nice stat line, as you can see. Battlehawks covered -2.5, easily under 46. The defensive slugfest on Sunday, the Brahmas picking up their second win, getting now to within 2 of the Houston Roughnecks in the South Division, beating the Arlington Renegades 15-9. And like I mentioned, now they're just 1 game back of the Renegades for that second playoff spot in the South. 4 quarterbacks played in this one, 2 for each side. Kyle Sloter got the start for Arlington, was absolutely terrible. 6 of 13, 46.2%, 22 yards. Drew Plitt came in, was a lot better. 10 of 16, 62.5%, 163 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and a fumble. The fumble, unfortunately, for Plitt led to a defensive score, which we'll talk about in a sec. The Brahmas started Jawan Pass for the first time this season, 8 of 14, 57.1%, 57 yards, 4 carries for 21 yards. Kurt Banker came in and really didn't do anything. 1 of 6 passing, 16.7%, 2 yards and a pick. So I have to think they're going to stay with Jawan Pass. I don't think they're going to go back to Jack Cohn. So I think it's going to be Pass's team next week for the Brahmas. Running game here, San Antonio running back Jaquez Patrick had a nice day, 15 carries, 82 yards, 3 catches for 18 yards. Davion Smith had a nice overall day for Arlington in the loss, 10 carries, 42 yards, 4 catches, 49 yards. He led the game in receiving. The receivers, though, were led by Renegades wide receiver Javante Payton, acquired in a trade with Orlando a couple weeks ago, 2 receptions, 43 yards on 2 targets. Lawan Winningham had the lone offensive touchdown in this game for the Renegades there. 1 catch, 16 yards, and a touchdown on 3 targets. Defensively, 2 guys I want to mention. How about the first one, the leading tackler in this game, San Antonio linebacker Jordan Williams, 14 tackles, 6 of them solos, 3 tackles for loss, a fumble recovery, returned 45 yards, I believe. Yeah, 44 yards to the house for Jordan Williams. Also the leading tackler in the XFL with 54 tackles overall, I believe. Might have fact-checked that one. But the second guy I want to mention, his teammate, Brahmas linebacker Delonte Scott, had a great day. 7 tackles, 4 of them solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble that led to that Williams touchdown. And then also, this is another kicker that had a fantastic day here. Parker Romo for the Brahmas, 3 of 3 kicking, 46 for the long in this one. And that was the difference. As you can see, they win by 6. He kicked 9 points there. Their defensive touchdown was really the difference, but Parker Romo was the guy most of the day. Brahmas plus 3.5. They win outright. Under 33. I hit on that one live. 31.5 actually. It was crazy. Monday Night Football, the DC Defenders, the only undefeated team in the XFL, still undefeated, 6-0, 37-26 over the Houston Roughnecks, and now they are 2 games better than anyone in the league, 2 games up on St. Louis and Seattle in the North Division, and 2 games up on the Roughnecks now for the top spot in the XFL. Jordan Ta'amu was absolutely lights out passing, 19 of 31, 61.3%, 245 yards, 2 touchdowns. De'Aaron King played sparingly for the first time really this year, 1 of 1 passing for 4 yards, didn't run the ball at all because Jordan Ta'amu was doing such a good job. He didn't run the ball at all really either in this game. I believe 3 carries for -5 yards. But the quarterback situation for Houston is interesting next week. Brandon Silver's got the start once again, coming off the loss in Seattle, 10 of 17, 58.8%, 111 yards, 1 pick. Cole McDonald, though, came in and was lights out, 8 of 11, 72.7%, 194 yards, a touchdown, 6 carries, 37 yards, and a rushing score as well. So Wade Phillips might have a decision to make coming up next week. Abram Smith continued his tear through the XFL for the Defenders, 19 carries, 95 yards, a touchdown, 2 catches for 10 yards. Really, it was a terrible first half for the DC rushing game, but Smith and the offensive line really wore the Houston defense down in the second half, got a bunch of chunk plays there for their ground game. Roughnecks running back Max Borghi couldn't get much on the ground, 11 carries, 25 yards. He did score 2 touchdowns, though, caught 1 ball for 1 yard. Offense, wide receiver-wise, we had 2 100-yard receivers in this one. Defenders wide receiver Lucky Jackson was a star all game, 5 catches, 136 yards, 1 touchdown on 8 targets. And then Deontay Burnett got hit by Cole McDonald for a long touchdown. It was 84, I believe, or something like that. 4 catches, 122 yards, a touchdown on 6 targets for Burnett. Alex Ellis, congrats to him catching his first ball with the DC Defenders, and it's a 1-yard touchdown on his lone target of the night. So good for Alex Ellis there. And then defensive player of the game has to be Defenders safety Santos Ramirez, 3 tackles, 1 of them solo, half a sack, 40-yard pick 6. Loved to watch that. 3rd pick 6 for the Defenders defense this season. The other 2 with Michael Joseph there, the corner. And then I also want to mention another kicker here because we love kickers just as much as Rich Eisen does on NFL Network there. Kicker Matt McCrane for the Defenders, 3 of 4, 75%, 50 long, nice bomb there from McCrane. Defenders -2, they cover easily. Over 43, also very easily. Let's get into XFL news. We have some quarterback movement around the league. The Arlington Renegades, surprisingly, they released quarterback Kyle Sloter. He is free to sign with anyone now. We'll see where he goes. But Arlington moving forward with Drew Plitt. No, they're not, because there was a trade today. The Vegas Vipers acquired linebacker Ryan Mueller in exchange for quarterback Louis Perez. So it's either going to be Drew Plitt or Louis Perez next week for the Renegades as Bob Stoops tries to figure out his quarterback situation there in Arlington. Louis Perez getting a shot to go to the playoffs with the Renegades now. In the NFL, we also had a trade. It's a kicker trade. Of course, it's all about the kickers today, apparently. The San Francisco 49ers acquired kicker Zane Gonzalez in a conditional 2025 7th-round selection from the Carolina Panthers for a conditional 2025 7th-round pick. Just a 7th-round swap in 2025. conditions. Of course, not sure what those are, but Zane Gonzalez headed to the Bay Area where Robbie Gould left after a bunch of years there. So San Fran, new kicker there. The rest of the NFL news here, the pending contract for Commissioner Roger Goodell expected to be through 2027 season. That is likely to be finalized at the May owners meeting. So, yeah, again, I thought Roger was going to be done after his current contract is up, but nope, he is. It's like that thing. I don't remember where it's from, but it's like 4 more years. I don't know, but not sure if that's 4 more years. I'm unaware of what Roger's contract currently runs through. Broncos head coach Sean Payton, he says the team has no interest in trading wide receivers Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy. So, I mean, we mentioned 3, so maybe Peyton mentioned those 2. Maybe it's KJ Hamler that's getting traded from Denver. So we're still waiting to see if or what, if anything, happens with a Denver wide receiver and a trade somewhere. How about the Lamar Jackson situation? So they placed a non-exclusive franchise tag on him, have the owners meeting this week. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson tweeted out exactly when head coach John Harbaugh was on the podium and said that they loved Lamar. Lamar Jackson saying on Twitter that he requested a trade on March 2nd. Team has been unwilling to acknowledge that, of course, and trade the QB. So we're still waiting to see what happens with the Lamar Jackson situation, but it's not a very good one. And he pretty much said goodbye to Baltimore in that Twitter post as well. So it's just another waiting game. We're always waiting on something, right? How about the Jets? GM Joe Douglas says there is no rush on Aaron Rodgers' deal, and they are not interested in trading for Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, which makes sense, I think, with what the Jets want to do. They're kind of built and building this offseason to win now, to win with Rodgers. So, yeah, makes sense. I don't know if I'd say there's no rush, because I think there is. I mean, the NFL draft is coming up in a month, and yeah, I mean, I think that's the deadline. That's a deadline, anyways, because this year's draft picks or next year's draft picks if you don't get something after done before the draft. So, well, we'll see. How about the Washington Commanders up for sale? They got 2 bids today to buy the team. The Josh Harris, Mitchell Rawlis, and Magic Johnson now included in that investment group as well. Their group put in a $6 billion fully financed plan, as did Canadian billionaire Steve Apostolopoulos. $6 billion, same price tag. Again, fully financed plan there. So purchase agreement, I've heard that could be in place by the NFL draft. That would be something to see if, the team got sold before the draft, and then it's like, well, we got a new ownership. What does the owner want us to do? Owner want to keep Ron Rivera, keep everyone else? I don't know. But yeah, so those are the 2 bids currently. I don't think there's anyone else invested. So we'll see who wins out there with Washington. Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin saying today that newly acquired corner Patrick Peterson may make the move to safety. We've seen a bunch of players in their last couple of years of the league make that transition from corner to safety. Would make sense. The Steelers did lose Terrell Edmonds to the Eagles in free agency. So they do need some safety help back there with Minkah Fitzpatrick. But they also really need corner help with Cameron Sutton going to Detroit. So I don't know what else they're going to do at corner other than obviously draft. But if Peterson does move to safety, they are going to be even worse at corner than what they already were. So I don't know. The Chargers announcing they have opened contract extension talks with quarterback Justin Herbert. So I saw the tweet mentioning the race is now on between Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, and Justin Herbert. 3 J's, Joe, Jalen, and Justin. So we'll see who gets the contract first, which team gets the bargain, and which team is right on their guy. I mean, I think the Bengals are kind of out of that. That one is kind of set in stone already based off what Joe Burrow has done in multiple seasons. I think Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, the jury is still out on whether they are the guys. And we'll see what their contracts look like based off that knowledge. So we do have the league meetings happening. They approved a bunch of rules today. The first one proposed by the Eagles, making the use of number 0 on a jersey allowable. So anyone can wear number 0, and kickers and punters can now use number 0 to 49 and 90 to 99. So Calvin Ridley, Jaguars wide receiver, announcing he will wear number 0 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So first player we know that will wear that. The Chargers rule, they amended to make the adjustment of the play clock following an instant replay reversal consistent with other timing rules. The Texans' proposal to expand the replay officials' jurisdiction to allow for review on failed fourth down attempts. So failed fourth down attempts is now reviewable by replay official there. The competition committee, they wanted to change the definition of a launch to leaving one or both feet. They got that approved. Also, these next 5 are by the competition committee. To make the penalty for tripping a personal foul approved. To make the penalty for illegally handing the ball forward consistent with other illegal acts, such as illegal forward passes. Got that one done. To make the penalty for illegal punts, drop kicks, or place kicks consistent with other illegal acts, such as illegal forward passes. To prevent the offense from benefiting by an extension of the half as a result of their foul. I don't really know what that means, but okay. And then to clarify use of the helmet against an opponent by removing the butt ram spear language from Article 8 and incorporating those actions into impermissible use of the helmet. Alrighty. And then we got a couple bylaws approved here. The competition committee to change the claiming period to Monday for players who are waived on the Friday and Saturday, the last week of the regular season, to insert strength of victory as the second tiebreaker for awarding contracts. That's interesting. And to adjust the rule for postseason signings to account for standard elevations rule to freeze postseason rosters at 4 p.m. New York time on the Wednesday following the last week of the regular season. And then we got a couple of approved resolutions. The bills to make the regular season and postseason roster transaction deadlines the same, changes the transaction deadline for Saturday night postseason games to 4 p.m. New York time on Saturday. The Chargers to provide greater clarity as to a player's availability for a game. Again, it's very broad. And by 1 million teams to establish one preseason roster reduction date and related procedures. So yeah, there's only going to be one cut date, it looks like now, this offseason. So that's going to be weird, but we will see how it goes. Signings here, we got some free agents still going on. It's the off season. We got low 1-year deals getting thrown out left and right. How about the Seahawks reuniting with their longtime linebacker, Rams linebacker Bobby Wagner? 1-year, $7 million deal. Great deal for him to come home and play his last couple of seasons in Seattle, retire a Seahawk. The Steelers, they signed Titans offensive tackle Raven Clark to a 1-year deal like that. He's a nice swinging tackle and going to help out on the outside with their depth, which they need on the offensive line. The Bills, they signed Rams safety Taylor Rapp to a 1-year deal. I think that's a fantastic signing by Brandon Beane there in Buffalo. Rapp, veteran player, a lot of games in the league with LA. So excellent signing, I think, for Buffalo in this bargain basement shopping here. The Bengals also getting a nice job done signing Vikings tight end Irv Smith Jr. to a 1-year deal. They also signed Raiders corner Sidney Jones IV. But the Irv Smith thing, I think that's a great job by the Bengals front office. Getting probably their starter at tight end, I would have to think. They don't really have anyone after Hayden Hurst left. So, yeah, I think the Irv Smith Bengals could be a move this offseason in fantasy. And then the Saints, they signed Falcons wide receiver Brian Edwards, reuniting him with Derek Carr from their Raiders days there. So we'll see if Brian has a big share of the targets or not. Probably not with Chris Olave and Michael Thomas and others there, but nice to have a familiar face for Derek Carr on that Saints offense. Couple of visits going on this week. The Bengals hosted Cowboys defensive end Terrell Basham and Saints defensive tackle Kentavious Street. Both really solid defensive line depth pieces there. Could see the Bengals signing one or both if they have the cap space, trying to get their pass rush up to par. And then the Bills hosting a familiar face, defensive tackle Jordan Phillips on a visit, re-signed to Buffalo in 2022, was original 3rd-round pick, I believe, of the Bills. A couple years ago, went to the Cardinals in free agency, now back with Buffalo last year, possibly going to be returning to the Bills for another year in 2023. And that is it for today's show, y'all. Very short, little half-hour show. Nice and concise there, only me. So next week, we'll be back talking XFL Week 7 recap. We'll be in XFL Week 8, though. We'll have all your NCAA and NFL news there. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and Twitter, FAA_bets on Twitter as well, and then FAApodcast.com is our website. You can check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Again, thank you all for watching, and we will see you back